Started. I'm gonna hit the record button. So Yuna had reached out to me and asked me to do a training slash webinar on using the Google Suite. And so one of the first things I want to do is actually launch a poll. And this is the first time I'm trying this. So let's experiment a little bit. So I have two questions, trying to get a gauge your understanding. What's your skill level in using the basic functions of the basic Google Suite, so Google Docs, Google Sheets, and Google Slides? And then what is your skill level in sharing slash collaborating? So that way I kind of know what I'm working with. All right, so kind of what I expected. So we will go over briefly the basic functions of the different software types, and then we'll talk about the sharing, and then we'll talk about how those things integrate into Canvas. So thanks for doing the poll. If you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat box, or feel free to unmute your microphone and actually ask. Interrupt me if you need to. If I need to repeat something, please. This is for you guys, not for me. So you got to be your own advocates. With that being said, let's go and get started. And I need to make sure I'm sharing my correct screen. All right, so at this point, you should see a browser of Google Drive. Is that correct? Everyone see a screen that looks like a website with folders listed in it and documents?
Yep.
Excellent. So this is Google Drive. And what Google Drive is a online hard drive, basically, is the way to think about it. Think about your computer, you save documents to your computer. Google Drive is where you can save documents to the quote unquote cloud. As a instructor at ASU, we all have access to Google Drive. You can get access to it by going to My ASU. And then on the left-hand side here, you have the Google Drive icon here. And that's how you get to your ASU iteration of Google Drive. One caveat I will say that you might run into, and your students might run into, is if you have a personal Gmail, you also have a personal Google Drive. And so at ASU, your Google Drive is tied to your ASU account. So mine is jneenos at asu.edu. And then I also have one to my personal one, jason.neenos at gmail.com. And that could be problematic in sharing and distinguishing what account you're logged into. And we'll talk about how to overcome that in the future. So, but this is your online storage for Google. You can see it looks very similar to what your typical hard drive storage system looks like. I have folders in here that I can, set up my hierarchy, quick access, so things I've used recently, and then different documents and different items that I have stored here. Now, one thing is that you can store things other than Google type products here. So yes, this is where Google Docs and Google Sheets and Google Slides will be stored, but I have images here. So, I wanted to use this image for something, and so I can store this image in the cloud, and I can log into a computer anywhere, find my Google Drive, and bring up this image. So you can store more than just Google things in here. You can store anything in here and then access it anywhere you have computer access. So the main part of this, over on the left-hand side, you can click New, and then you can create a new Google Doc, Google Sheet, Google Slide, and then create a new folder for storage or upload items. So if you want to upload a non-Google item, like a image, you would click on New and then File Upload, and it would ask you to find your item that you want to upload. So we're just going to dive into some of the basics. The first one, let's talk about Google Docs. If I want to create a new Google Doc, I click on the new button here. I click on Google Docs. And for those who don't know, a Google Doc is basically a word processing. It's the equivalent of Microsoft Word. You can see it looks very similar here. You got your undo, redo, print, so on and so forth. You need to put a title for your document. So I'll put College of, you guys are College of Health Solutions, right?
Correct.
Awesome. So I'll put College of Health Solutions Training. And then it's a basic word processing document. So I can put my type in there and it's there. One of the nice things you'll notice is that all changes have been saved to the drive. As you work in your document, you can see it's saying saving. When I stop, it's saved. So that way, if your computer runs out of battery, or if something goes wrong with your computer, you at least have a recent document of what you've been working on. So I'm not going to go into a deep dive into the word processing aspect of it. So does anybody have any specific questions about Google Docs that they do want me to cover?
Sorry, I was trying to unmute myself. Yes, I was wondering, how do you export this? Because it seems like it exports differently than other word processing documents.
So when you do create something in Google Doc, you can export it to Microsoft Word. To export it, if I'm in the document here, I can go to my file, download as, and then download as Microsoft Word. In theory, if you're doing your just basic word processing stuff, your formatting everything should come over just fine. I've had some issues when I've been using images and things like that they kind of get misplaced from where they were in the original document. So you're going to want to check things like that. But your spacing, your all your general word processing features and formatting should come just fine when you download it to a Microsoft Word document.
And then you have to save it someplace else?
So yeah, if I save it as a Microsoft Word document, if I click on this, since it's now changing into a Microsoft Word document, I can download it to my actual PC. So I can save this to my computer here, and now it's a Microsoft Word document. Now, the problem that comes up with it is that if I were to go into Microsoft Word and open that document, any changes I make on that document don't get reflected in that Google Doc I've created. Now, with that being said, one of the things you can do is upload a Microsoft Word document to your Google Drive. I'm trying to see if I have one already in here, and I don't. And so let's demonstrate that. I'll click on New, and I'll do a file upload. And let's go with something. Let's go with this document because I don't remember exactly what it is. And so I'm uploading this document as a Word document. And when you see in my icons here in Google Drive, that's where I uploaded to, it's different from the Google Docs icon. This looks like a Google document icon. This document I just loaded is a Microsoft Word document. And I can then open it, and I actually have a Chrome extension where you can edit the Word document within Google Drive right here. And so it reads the document, I can edit it and go with that. And that's with a Chrome extension installed. I can send out documentation how to install that later on for those guys who might want to do that. And so this leaves it as a Word document, and then I can still re-download this if I want to by right-clicking and then saying download, and it will download as as a Word document. Or if I wanted to, I can open this And if I click on right click and open with, it opens as a Google Doc. And so it would convert it from a Microsoft Word document to a Google Doc. And we'll talk about one of the benefits of converting things like this to a Google Doc in a little bit. All right. Any other questions about the Google Doc and the word processing feature of it? All right. Let's do another quick run through of the other main ones. So we've done Google Doc, Google Sheets. This is your Google equivalent of Excel. So once again, very similar. As it gets up and running, I put my title in here. And it functions just like Word, or not Word, Google, Excel. I can put values in here. If I wanted to do formulas, I can do formulas still. And a lot of things are going to be very similar. So for the guys who know how to do formulas, it's always generally your equal, you do equals and then your formula value. And so a lot of things are going to be similar to how it functions in Microsoft Excel. So I guess once again, I'm not going to do a deep dive of how this actually functions, because if you're familiar with Microsoft Excel, you're 99% know how to use Google Sheets. So does anybody have any specific questions?
When I need to do a class roster, from when we were working in Blackboard, or, download grades, is there a way to do this into Sheets instead of Excel, or from Canvas, from the gradebook?
No, you can't go directly from the gradebook into Google Sheets. You would have to download it, and it downloads it as an Excel file, and then you could upload it into Google Drive and have it convert to a Google Sheet.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying there?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So yeah, you can't go directly from the gradebook in Blackboard or Canvas into Google Sheets. You have to download it and then upload. You have to download to your computer and then upload it to Google Drive and convert it to a Google Sheet. And you convert, once you upload it, you just do the same thing. You upload it, you right click, and you would open with, and this would say Google Sheet.
Okay.
Any other questions about it? Okay then. Our second to last one we'll go over is Google Slides. As you can imagine, this is a Microsoft PowerPoint competitor. So it loads. I put my title in here. And once again, it's similar to Microsoft PowerPoint. So I can say Health Solutions Training. I can put a theme to it. I do a new slide here, and I have the different slide layouts. I can right click and I can apply a different layout. So I need to do 2 columns and so on and so forth. Once again, it's very similar to Microsoft PowerPoint, your transition. So how do you want to transition from slide to slide, and so on. Any specific questions about Google Slides?
Jason, not a question, but a comment that I received from many people who use slides. You cannot put audio easily into a Google Slides presentation.
Yes, that is a great point. With PowerPoint, you can insert a voiceover and record a voiceover for it. With Google Slides, you cannot do that. There's no way to do a voiceover of for your lecture. So if you're looking to take your lecture and making it an online lecture where your students can view it, but you want to do a voiceover for it, you would still need to use Microsoft PowerPoint. Any other questions? All right. So one of the best advantages of using the Google Suite, though, is its online collaboration. It's online sharing. And so what I mean by that is if I go, and it's easier to do this in the document, so I'm going to go back to my Google Doc here that I've started. If I were to click on this share button in the top right-hand corner, I can share it directly with people. So in theory, if I wanted to, I can type in Una, and because we use a enterprise instance of Google, it can automatically look up people in the ASU directory. So if I wanted to, I can share it directly with Una. And then by clicking on this, there's different options. I can have her edit, so meaning she can actually change the document. She can comment, which I'll talk about what a comment means in a second. And then she can view. So I can share directly with her and give her one of those different permissions. And then I can share actually with someone else and give them a different set of permissions. So if I want Una to be able to edit, but Debbie to be able to only comment on it, because I don't trust Debbie. No, I'm just kidding, Debbie. But I want Debbie's opinion on it, but I don't want her to edit the document, I can give her commenting privileges. And what a comment does is Debbie can come in or someone can come in, they can highlight something and then click on this add comment feature here. And they can say, you misspelled whatever the world this was. And I could put a comment. And so then people who see this document will then see the comments on the side. You can also direct comments at people. So I can do at Una or at somebody, Yushen, and direct a comment directly at them. I really don't want to do that because you can see when I mention them, it'll add people to the discussion and send an email. Well, I don't know her, so we're going to make sure we don't do that and send her an email for some random document. And so you can share a document and have people either edit it or comment. And so what we're going to do now, actually, we're going to talk another way how to share it. So other than sharing with people directly, if I were to click on advance in the bottom right-hand corner, I can also share a link. And so with that, I can actually create a link. And actually what I'm going to do, because it didn't come out how I thought it was, I can actually create a shareable link is what I was looking for. So right here, after I click share, get a shareable link. And then I can do a couple different options. If I click in this dropdown, anyone at ASU can view the document, anyone at ASU can comment, and anyone at ASU can edit it. And this is where you would have a problem, as I referenced earlier. If your student is logged in or if someone's logged in on their personal Gmail and you send them a shareable link and you have it set up for anyone at ASU, they would not be able to access the document. They would get a window saying, you do not have permission, and what they would need to do is actually change their Google account by going to this top right-hand corner and changing their Google account. And so you can see I have a couple different Google addresses. There's my ASU one, there's my a couple different personal ones and whatnot. And so one way you can always make sure yourself or your students are loaded into their ASU Gmail is that if they go to my ASU and click on Google Drive, it will open up their ASU Gmail or ASU Google iteration. So, but what we're going to do now is have a little fun, and I'm going to set a shareable link where anybody can edit. So what I'm going to do is copy this link here and paste it into our chat box. And I want everybody to go ahead and jump in, click that link, and start typing into the document.
So this is a great tool for in-class collaboration and group, right?
Yep,
Okay, so mine came up that I need permission, so evidently I'm not into my ASU Google
that is
Drive.
that is correct. So what you're going to want to do is your best way to do it is open up my ASU and click on the drive icon.
It brought me back to the Zoom meeting here.
So you need a is your Zoom meeting in full screen?
I'm okay now.
Okay. So it looks like Debbie is asking a question, wondering about multiple versions of a document. That's one, and that is the biggest benefit of working in Google Docs or the Google Suite, is that you don't have to have multiple versions of a document. And we'll talk about like your syllabi here. We'll talk about how you can create your syllabi in Google and then embed it into Canvas. And then when you change it in Google, it changes anywhere that document is embedded. The other advantage is if you're working on documents with colleagues, you don't have to email back and forth with documents. You have this one document that is there. And so you don't have to have the final document. It is what it is in the Google Docs. And so this is how my colleagues and I will collaborate often when we're working on projects, is we have a Google Doc and I come here and make changes, or they come in and make changes, and everybody has access to it. Now, one of the other nice features here is I can look at the version history by going to File and then Version History, and I can look at changes that have been made. So this is what it was when I first started. This is the current version of it right now, and you can see actually who's made what changes because people are logged in with their ASU account. And if I want to go back and change things and go back to a different version, I can actually click this and click Restore this version. And all that work you guys just did would be for naught. So, but that is a beneficial feature of being able to collaborate with your Google Docs. Now, when we shared, I made a link and I shared it with anyone at Arizona State University. But let's say you're working with someone from you went to a conference, you somehow got your college to pay for you to go to a conference. You're working with someone from the University of Southern California, and you want to collaborate on a document. When I click on my shareable link button here, I can click on More and do anyone with the link. And so they don't have to have access to ASU Gmail. Anybody with the link can do it. And then I can give them different permission levels varying according to the link, where they can either edit, comment, or view. So if I'm working with someone from UC, University of Southern California, I can get my link here and say, I want anyone with the link can edit the document and click Save. And then I can just copy this link and then send it to them in an email, and they would be able to edit the document. Does anybody have any questions so far?
I still wasn't able to get access, and I went to my ASU Google Drive, and then I actually exited out of my personal Gmail into what I thought was my ASU Gmail, but maybe after the meeting you can help me with that. And I've had problems when I've gotten, previous documents with the same issue, and eventually I get to it.
Okay. Do you want to share your screen and I can walk you through it? That way other people can see what we're doing.
Okay.
So I'm going to stop my share. And then on your screen, you should have a share option at the bottom of your Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Excellent. All right, so once you go to the chat window and click on the link that I sent you,
Oops.
so if you go to the bottom, if you scroll down to the bottom of your screen, you should get the pop-up for your Zoom meeting.
Okay. Let's see.
Or I will send it to you. I'm going to send out the link again, and a little chat
Okay.
thing should flicker for you.
Okay. It's actually at the top of my screen, and
Okay.
but I don't see chat. It just has like mute, start video, participant, share, pause.
There should be a more button.
Yeah, there is. Okay, there's chat. Okay. Okay. And so click on the link.
Yep. Ooh. For one, that's opening up in Chrome, in Internet Explorer. So
What's
once
that?
it said, oh, I think because I changed the document, the share link document. So hold on.
Okay.
Let's try this again. I just put a new link. Go ahead and close your browser that you just had open, that Internet Explorer browser that just opened, and then go back to your chat and hit the new link because I just changed it to anyone with ASU. All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay. I'm still getting you need permission.
So part of the problem is you're running into right now is that your default browser is set to Internet Explorer. And so when you open up the link right now, it's going to your Internet Explorer. What you can do is just copy that link
Okay.
that's in the Internet Explorer browser right now.
Okay.
And then go to your Chrome browser in any one of the windows right now. Go ahead and paste that link into the
Okay.
URL. And then click open.
Oh, yeah, that's how I had to open in the documents in the past. Okay.
So that's the problem you're running
Okay.
into now. Because like I said, your default browser was set for Internet Explorer.
Okay.
Now, if you go back to your Internet Explorer,
Okay.
nope, that one's Edge. To the right, 2 icons to the right.
Okay.
You have that button that says switch accounts. So if you look in that browser window right under, yep, right there, you could always say switch accounts and then sign
Okay.
into another account. And this is where you would put your ASU Right email address. So it would be jcannell4, I assume, at asu.edu. Yep. And then it would go through the process of your login and then be able to access that document.
Okay.
So that's how you can deal with that.
Okay.
Debbie on the chat asked, does it log you out of your other accounts when you switch? It doesn't log you out if they're both. So you can see Janelle's got both her Gmail and her ASU one. It doesn't log you out if they have different endings. And what I mean by that is at Gmail or at ASU. Because the at ASU is an enterprise one, it doesn't log you out of it. So Janelle would just click on the jcannell4.
Okay, because I have all my ASU email directed to my personal email, but just to view the Google Doc, I would just do this then. Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, and there it is.
Yep. So
Okay, thank you.
that's how you deal with that problem. And that's a common problem that I've interact with other colleagues, or when I've used this with my students on dealing with, I can't access the document. Well, you got to log into your ASU Gmail. So does anybody have any questions before we move forward?
I just want to point out, because we do a lot of medical stuff, is the Google account within ASU HIPAA compliant?
No. From what I've been told, the Google Drive account is not HIPAA compliant. From what I've been told, it's FERPA, but not HIPAA.
Okay, the FERPA compliance though would depend a lot on us, because you don't want to share a bunch of information via Google Drive,
Yeah.
just in case somebody else gets it.
Yeah. Where can I find cheat sheets for this? I'm going to give you at the end. I'm going to send a document to Una that she can send out to all those who have signed up. That shows kind of what we've talked about. All right. So we've talked about the Google Doc. We talked about sharing. The same thing with the Google Docs is the same thing, and sharing is the same thing with your sheets or your slides. So if I were to click on the share button, I can share it with other users. In addition, if I'm directly in my Google Drive account, I can also share from here. So if I were to right click on something, I can click share or get a shareable link, and it does the same thing. I can share it with other users. If someone shared something with me directly, or if someone shared something with me directly in Google Drive, I can click on shared with me, and I can see all the things that people have shared with me. So for instance, yesterday, I had to do a voiceover for a video that we produced. And so instead of emailing me the document, he shared it with me via Google Drive, and then I could read it and then walk over and then do the narration for him. And then there was a couple times where there are some changes that needed to be made. I made them here, which made it easy because we also had another gentleman who I work with do the narration. And so all the changes were there, and he didn't have to do the changes himself either. And we were all reading from the same script. So that covers pretty much the Drive and the sharing instances. Does anybody have any questions before I move on to using this in Canvas or other ways you can use this with your students? Okay, so in Canvas, I'm going to open up one of my courses here, and this is EDT 180, which I taught this last fall. And so you'll notice here, my syllabus is embedded in my course, and it's a Google Drive, it's a Google Doc. And so this is what I was talking about earlier. Yes, the original document I made was actually, I made this in Microsoft Word. I then uploaded it to Google Drive, converted it to a document, Google Doc, and then I can embed it into my syllabus page, or I can embed it pretty much anywhere there's a rich text editor box in Canvas. And so what I mean by that is I'm in my syllabus section right now. If I click on edit, I get the rich text editor box. Actually, I'm going to do this in another course so I don't mess anything up in here. So once again, I'm going to go to the syllabus section. Delete everything in here. And so in my rich text editor box here, I have all these standard icons, but one of the icons here is the Google Apps. If I were to click on this, I have it set up to link to my Google Drive account for ASU. You can see this is the folders and everything that I have in my Google Drive account. And so I can then link to, and let's say I want to do this, I can either embed or link to a document. If I link to it, it literally looks like a hyperlink. The students can click it and it'll open up in Google Drive or in Google Docs. I'm going to embed it though. And it embeds a version of the document in here. So this is a document that you were using earlier. I can make changes from here directly to it. And if I were to go back to the original version, you can see what I just typed in there appears also. So if I embed my syllabus and I realize, oh, I need to make a change, I can change it right in here and it changes in the Google Doc. So if I click update syllabus, this is what it looks like to myself. For students, which I can't really demonstrate, it just looks like an embedded Word document. They don't get the ability to edit. I only get the ability to edit because it's me logged in here. Students would just see what looks like an embedded Word document, and they wouldn't be able to make any changes to it. So I can do that in my syllabus section. If I were to go to a page, or basically anywhere in Canvas that has the rich text editor box, I'm going to click edit. My rich text editor box comes up here. I don't need this, but then I can click on my Google Drive button, find the document, click embed, and so now the document's embedded in my page. I can type in it still. It appears it's updated because it's just embedded. And once again, if this were in an actual, in a page, my students would see just a Word or, flat version of it, and they would not be able to edit themselves.
So question,
Yes.
is it better to create your documents in your Google Drive and then update them from there, because then it'll be automatically updated and saved, or to create them directly in Canvas? Like I'm thinking about introductions to, I'm not talking about my syllabus. Seems like it'd be easier to create that as a Google document. I'm thinking more like introductions to modules and stuff like that.
It's kind of 6 or 1/2 dozen, depending on how modular or how much you want to reuse things. Like for instance, if you're using similar modules across different courses, maybe you want to do it in Google Docs because it's, and then you can just paste the introduction, put the introduction for the similar module. I usually, my preference is make things in Canvas if it's, relevant, really just relevant to that specific course. Make it in Canvas and put it in the actual, write it in the actual page. It's kind of 6 or 1/2 dozen. It's up to you on how you really want to go about it. Because the nice thing if you do it in Google Docs is you have all the information outside of Canvas. So if you go someplace else, or if you're doing, it's easier transferable to a different course if you want to use it. When you embed it though, it does change it everywhere. So that's one thing you would need to slightly worry about, because if you embed it, and let's say you embed it and reuse it for, you embed it in a fall course and then you re-embed it in a spring course, if you make changes in the spring course page, it's going to make changes in the fall course. And then if you get any grade challenges, you're going to get, it's not going to be what the student saw at the time. So that's one caveat with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
And then when we need to turn in our syllabi and it's in Canvas in this Google Doc, I'm assuming there's a way to be able to attach this to an email to send in, or?
I'm not sure what your workflow is for turning in your syllabus, but the way you could do it is you can either share it directly with the person you have to share with. So if you have to, send it to Una, you can just right click on the document in your Google Drive and then click share and share it with Una. If she does want it as a separate email, so she can, keep a log on it on the on her actual computer and not in Google Drive, you could always just download the item as a Microsoft Word document and then email it to whoever needs it emailed.
Okay, let me ask you this. I copied a course and somebody else wrote the syllabus. And so, but I need to turn that in. Is there a place in Canvas where I can do this? Or does this automatically go onto my Google Drive if I have it in Canvas?
No, if they embedded a syllabus and you copied a
Oh,
course from it, it's referencing their original document. So what you would need to do is you probably need to, as a student, I think you still might have the ability to file and then download. I
okay.
could be wrong though, and unfortunately, I don't have a way to test that right now.
Okay.
I can
The
help you with that too.
what's that, Una?
St. Jan, I can help you with that too because I have admin access. We can
Okay.
talk about that. Sorry, I
Okay.
didn't mean to
Thank you.
interrupt you, Jason. Sorry.
No, please interrupt me. So yeah, either that or just if you can get a hold of the original professor, just say, hey, can you, send me a copy of the syllabus?
Okay, because I edit it so it reflects my class and that's what needs to be turned in. So I'm assuming, from that file there, I can get
Yes.
it saved and send it
Yes.
in.
Yep. Any other questions? So to give you an example of how one of the ways I use Google Drive in Canvas also is, this was a in-person class, face-to-face class. There we go. So when I wanted them to do presentation sign up, if they wanted to present something, some of their work, I just made a link to a Google Sheet where they can just come in and put their name in to sign up. And this was an editable sheet that anybody can come in and make edits to. The other way I use it is when I do my lectures, I embed my Google Slides into my lecture here. And the nice thing about that is the students then, this is pretty much actually what it looks like for the students with it embedded. They can click through as, it's independent. So I load up the slide on the computer, on the main computer, and they can follow along and follow on the slides here. But a lot of times I'll put links embedded into this. And so for this case, I want them to read this document in class and make comments. And so I make a link to it in my Google slide that then sends them to the Google document here. And then they can put in comments on, and I usually tell them, I want you to make comments on anything you find interesting as they load right here. And so this is what it looks like. They can make comments, so this student here, while I think it's an ideal navigational complexity is interesting because I've used Canvas since middle school, I believe I have it all figured out. And so this is a way to have them read a document and then make comments on it. And then I use these comments as talking points as we go over the document in class. So there's a couple different things at play here by, like I said, I embed my slideshow within within a page here. And then, I link to anything I talk about. And then like this case, I wanted them to read this article. And so I had it copied over, I put it into a Google Doc, and then I made comments on it. That way they can provide comments and we get a mini discussion within the document, and then I can use those comments without having them to have their raise your hand and provide a reaction to the document in class. I can read their comment and say, all right, Jordan, that's interesting. Can you elaborate on what you meant there? So any questions?
Well, that's pretty awesome. So of course I'm wondering, did you have to create your slides or can you convert them from PowerPoint?
You can create them in PowerPoint and then convert them into Google, into a Google slide. So right here, if you look, this is a PowerPoint. And if I were to right click it, I can click open with and change to Google Slides. Most of them though, I just created directly from, I created them directly in Google Slides. And so if I go to my folder here, teaching, and so there it is right there. And so for me, this is convenient because like when I walk into the classroom, you know, I don't have to bring my laptop. I just log into the computer that's in the classroom, open up Google Drive, and open up my my slide deck. So I don't have to make sure I have it with me or anything like that because it's stored in the cloud. It's right there, and I can just open up and start and utilize it. Any other questions?
Jason, when you embed the Google Slides like that, if you do a comment or something, does that save it? It does update the original slide deck too, right? So if you were to type something in there during class.
So with the slides, it doesn't give you editing features on there. Actually, this is in the view, so it might when I click on edit.
But like if you use your pointer or annotate something.
It all depends on where you're annotating it through.
Okay.
Because if you're using an overlay software on like a smartboard, yeah, the annotation won't save. I'm trying to wait for this to load.
Yeah, sure. No zero rating. So that was the main point, that because we've got a few smartboards now. So if you do write on it, that's not going to save. You just have to remember that.
Yeah, exactly. If you annotate over it with a smartboard, it doesn't save it into the original document.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, I don't know why this is not loading. So like I said, though, the students can follow along with the presentation. They get a view full presentation, and they can follow along with me. And then when I want them to go to links or articles, I embed that I hyperlink within here, so I can say, hey, use the following link and write a paragraph. How does my professor use Blackboard? And so my students would come in here, and that's what they did. Put their name, wrote about how their students use Blackboard, or how their professors use Blackboard. So that way, it's a way to, like I said, another way to get a class discussion, quote unquote, without having to have them all raise their hands. And because it's doing it in real time, I can go to the link, read their what they're writing, and be like, oh, Berkeley, I like what the point you made here. Can you discuss that about that, or what else? What any other key things that they did? And I've gotten feedback from my students that they like doing things like this because it allows them to formulate their thoughts first without having to be put on the spot. Because they've had a chance to sit here and write, they know what they've talked about, and then are more comfortable elaborating on what they want to share. All right, so I got the 2 comments in the chat. So I'm about done, unless you guys have any other specific questions.
Can you talk about, Jason, when we submit in the
Oh, yeah,
assignment section? Thanks.
that slipped my mind. I apologize. So what Una was talking about is when you do assignments, you can have your students submit assignments. And one of the things that they can do is they can submit directly from their Google Drive account. And so what I mean by that is that I used to have my students do a weekly reflection. And so if I did a file upload submission type here, they can do, and it's doc or PDX. One of the other things that happens though is that they can connect their Google Drive account and they can upload directly from Google Drive. And actually, this is beneficial because, excuse me, I know in previous times, instructors would have them submit a URL, a shareable URL, where students would submit the URL and then the professor would click it and they can go to that document. The problem with that is that if the students submit just a shareable URL to their Google Doc, the student can submit the URL at 11:26, 3 minutes before the deadline, but then go in and continue typing in it, and it updates after the deadline. Whereas in Canvas, if you do the file upload and they upload directly from their Google Docs or their Google Drive, it captures the submission at the time of submission. So if they submit a Google Doc to you at 11:29 and then go in at 11:34 and then try to make changes to it, you capture what they submitted at 11:29, not not any changes they made it to it afterwards.
So does that apply also if they're giving you, so here you've got uploading a PDF. So you're saying that the best way to make sure that they don't make changes is not to get, because you can link directly and do the integration to their Google Drive. If they do that and they actually give you a Google Doc, what are their options for changing, or how do you know if they've made changes afterwards?
So when they upload a Google Doc, it looks just like a Microsoft Word document, or it looks like a word processing document. You don't know if they made any changes to it after they upload it, because it's essentially the same thing as submitting a Word document.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it ties directly to the Google Drive. They come in and find it, and actually here, let's see if I can demonstrate it. Where is someplace and I am a student? I don't know if I'd be able to do it because of permissions. People, they're a student. I'm gonna stop my share for a second. And let me try logging into something else real fast, so please excuse me. I apologize for the wait. And so if I go into assignments here, and we'll see if this works. I don't know if it will. Of course, it's going to take forever to load. The one day, there we go. So when I go click on submit, I can click on Google Drive, or I can click on Google Docs. And so if I submit a Google Drive, I have to authorize it. Okay, let's try this then. I apologize for this wait. So if I submit this Cinderella document here, and I submit this assignment, so it's submitting a document, and it's going to look just like a Google Doc. So if I come, just like a Word document here. So if I come back to my course, I can go to my speed grader here. And so this is what the document looks like. You can see it looks exactly like what a Word document would look like. But if I, as a student, were then actually, sorry, you probably don't see it because I switched to a different screen. So now you should see the document here. This is what the document looks like that got submitted. It looks like a Word document. This is what a Word document would look like. If I were to come into a Google Drive account, and I'm going to switch to my personal Google Drive account now. And the document I submitted, why is everything taking so long to load?
It knows.
So this was the document I submitted here. So if I were to open this up, so if I were to submit something, and so this is a document, I opened it up. If I were to make changes here, as I've just done, I go back to my assignment. Even if I refresh it here, the changes aren't going to be reflective because it captures the document at the time of submission.
That's good to know because I was thinking they might still, last time I had heard, they could still update their Google Docs. So that's good to know. Thank you.
Yep. So Debbie asked the question, so if they submit a Google Doc, all those assignments are on your drive? No. Basically, they're in Canvas. If they submit a Google Doc to Canvas, it submits basically a Word document to Canvas. So they're not sharing with you. It's as if they're uploading a Word document or a PDF to Canvas. All right. Any other questions about that?
Just to clarify though, it comes up the same. It's just like any other submission. It's just drawing from a different place, but you can grade it and speed grader the same. So it might actually be better for students to do it that way.
It's 6 or 1.5 dozen for students. It's the same as if they made a Word document on their computer and then uploaded the Word document, or if they had done it in Google Docs and they're at a friend's house at 11:48, they're like, oh, I forgot to turn in my assignment. They can log into their friend's computer, get to their Google account and submit it.
It seems like I get quite a few submissions that are not the right document also, a Word document. So it seems like this, it'd be harder to do that.
They could still do it. They could still easily like click the wrong document and upload it. They're going to always find excuses. Always going to find excuses. So they could easily still click the wrong document and upload it. The nice thing about Canvas though, is that they can submit as many times as they want. You don't have to go in and open up the submission, open up submissions again. And so if they submit the wrong document, they can go in and resubmit. And if you click here, or you would have an option here, if they if submitted multiple times, you would have an option right here where you can see their different submissions. So you could have a drop down and it would say submission 1 and submission 2, and you can see what document they submitted for each submission.
So what if you grade it and then they try to resubmit?
If you grade it, and they resubmit, that just shows you that there's been a resubmission, and then you can actually, there's a little button right here that says use the same grade for resubmission. It'll show you the grade they gave him previously, and you can say use the same grade for resubmission or put in a new grade.
Debbie, if I can also add to the grade info that Jason's supplying, is another reason you might want to do a Google Doc submission like this is, let's say you're in the class, you're actually physical classroom, and you're having them do group work and they're working on a Google Doc. You would have them upload that Google Doc as evidence of their work during that session.
Yep.
Right. Can you, that's a great idea too. Can you, if you're having him submit assignment, can it be either a Google Doc or a PDF or a Word document, anything that they like to work on?
So yeah, when you do the submission here,
Yeah.
excuse me, whenever you do the file uploads, they can do, and I have it, whenever they do file uploads, they can submit whatever, but it also links to their Google Drive where they can submit something from their Google Drive, whether it's a Google Doc or slide or whatever. And so like I have it restricted here, docx or PDF, but because it's also file upload, they can upload from Google Drive.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? All right, then that's it, guys. That's all I have. I will send this recording along with the document to give you an idea of what the document looks like, that because it doesn't cover everything that we covered today, but let's bring it up here. It covers the basics of sharing it from a document with specific people, share from a link, sharing from Google Drive, and then how to embed documents in Canvas. So that's what the document covers. And then also, like I said, I will have to get this video to Una. So if you want to view this video, also you could do that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jason. This was
Thank
great.
you, guys.
Thank you. This is very helpful.